Well, how old was the carpet? I don't know what those stains are. And I think this just shows kind of the incompetence of not keeping track of things, not.
You can clearly see on the photographs that is
Investments LLC versus Trina Nusser. All right, thank you. Ms. Tweedle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you wish to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, can you tell me your side of the story?
Okay, I'd like to start off and take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving to begin.
And to you as well, thank you.
Thank you. My opening statements, I'd like to go over the provided statements of the defense. She had mentioned in her documentation that we failed to prepare the unit for her occupancy. We will provide testimony from our licensed contractor that this was not the case. She further claims that professional neglect, harassment, which created an unsafe environment. This again will be proven totally false in further testimony. And I would like to point out that this case pertains solely to the purpose of Trina Nusser's canceling her contract prematurely before the expected 12-month contract was up and not paying her termination fee of $825 as stated in her lease. We are also seeking damages for the destruction of our carpet caused by her dog relieving itself due to the change in its dog food diet. Chris, who is on this call, is our general contractor, was working in the unit before move-in and did leave a ladder and a bucket of dirty water, which was later removed. So her claims that we did not prepare for her move-in beforehand does just not hold any weight and contradictory, to say the least. As to the bedroom closet, I will let our contractor testify to this issue. My first witness.
Before you do, I'll give Ms. Nusser a chance to make her opening statement, then you can call her witness.
My name is Trina Nusser, the defendant. I intend to present evidence that the damage claim to Unit 1 Augusta Park Lane was present before my occupancy as of January 1st, 2024. I intend to lay a foundation of prior rental agreements and experience to demonstrate good faith behavior upon myself as the defendant. I will show that both the maintenance worker and landlord failed to perform their duties to prepare the rental unit for occupancy. Defense will also provide evidence of professional negligence and harassing behavior, which created an unsafe environment by the plaintiff, Tweedle Investments.
All right, Ms. Tweedle, you want to call your first witness?
Sure, I'd like to call Bulldog Contracting, and then shortly thereafter, if I may, I would like to call Mike Tweedle.
Okay, all right. Mr. Henderson, would you like to tell me your knowledge of this event?
Miss Tina Nesser was moving up to apartment number 10 after she moved into apartment number 1, and we had a tenant that was looking at her apartment, and she explained to me that her dog had pooped on the floor and that there were stains on the floor due to her changing her dog food. I don't know what else there is to explain.
Well, Chris, let me ask you some questions, if I may.
Okay.
How long have you worked for Tweedle Investments?
Almost 3.5 years.
Okay. Have you done contract for apartment buildings at other properties before?
Yeah.
Okay. What is our standard procedures for getting a rental unit ready?
Go through, paint the whole unit, fix anything that's damaged, replace all the blinds, put light bulbs in all the fixtures, make sure the carpets are clean. If you can't clean carpets, if they're damaged to where they're stained permanently, we remove the carpet and put down new floors.
Mm-hmm.
Just standard repair of any damages.
And as regard to smoke detectors and doors and windows, are those tended to as well?
Yes,
Okay,
smoke detectors are checked, made sure that they are either working or replaced due to people taking them with them when they leave.
okay.
Doors open and close, make sure locks are changed. New locks are either installed. We just went through and replaced every lock 2 years ago with a quick set, which allows us to change the keys immediately. We don't have to call in a locksmith or anything. We just use a quick set key. I think I have one here somewhere. But it's a way that we can change the keys immediately. We don't have to change out the whole locking mechanism. And it's standard issue now.
Okay.
Most locks.
Did you arrange for her to be transferred to an upstairs unit?
Yes.
Okay. And that decision never panned out, correct? She changed her mind and decided to stay in unit number 1?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason that she did that, she said that she would be happy in that unit, that she was going to be getting married and that she would just stay there and finish out her contract and that would be satisfactory to her?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any evidence of unsafe environment on our property, or particularly in unit number 1 where she was residing?
No, not that I see anything.
Okay. All right. And do you abide by all the codes and the laws that you are pertaining by under your LLC as far as Bulldog Contracting? Is that how you gauge what should be done and how it's to be done?
Yes, I go by the International Building Code.
Okay. Okay. Also, I'd like to ask you, have you ever entered an apartment, meaning anyone's apartment, including Trina's, without my knowledge or without the tenant's knowledge?
No, I actually wear a body camera. It's the same one that the police have.
Okay.
So when I enter them, I have video evidence showing when I enter the apartments.
Okay. And how long have you done this practice?
Years. I have an original one. It's one of the great big squares like the sheriff's department wear. And now I have one of the small ones that FBI use to show that when we're interacting with tenants or we're going into the apartments, we record everything we do. So we have a video evidence, so they can't come back and say we did something and we didn't, or we didn't do something we did.
And how do we notify a tenant that we're going to enter their apartment?
24-hour notice, either taped to their door or text message sent directly to them from you guys.
Okay. And do we take also an additional precaution of taking a photograph of that notice on their door to prove that we did give them a notice?
Yes.
Okay. And who usually does that?
I normally post the notices on the doors and take the pictures.
Did you ever post a notice on Trina's door saying that you were going to go into their unit?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Because you never went into her unit without her knowledge, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't enter units under any circumstances unless it's either flooding or on fire.
Okay. Alrighty, I believe that's all I have for you unless something comes up, depending on what Trina wants to testify to. I'd like now to call.
Wait, Ms. Snuster, do you have any questions for Mr. Henderson?
I do. Thank you, Your Honor. May I go ahead and ask my questions?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
I wanted to ask you just a few questions. Let me look at my notes and get my glasses real quick. So I understand that you have worked for Tweedle Investments for 3.5 years. Are
Yes.
you, Chris, are you currently a co-owner or a partner with Tweedle Investments in the
No,
business at all? Okay. And are you also being paid for your testimony today since you do work for Tweedle Investments?
I do not charge them for this.
Okay. And my next question. So when I moved in, you had painted the unit, correct?
Correct.
And was it a complete painting or was it a spot painting?
It was a complete painting.
Well, I turned in some evidence of a picture of the painting, and there were 2 different colors on the wall.
Yes, and that actually happened to us just recently when we repainted it for this last tenant. The wall actually absorbs the paint color, and we have 2 different color paints on the wall, even though it's all one big bucket.
I see. And you said that there were new blinds, and does this include the new, what about the patio door that had the slats on it that you pull open and close? Was that a complete, I'm sorry, was that a complete set of slats on that door?
I'm not sure about that door because we don't normally replace those, and because it's one big set of slats
Right.
and it's one whole unit. All the mini blinds we replace throughout. Normally the slats don't get replaced unless they're completely damaged or they're falling out. I believe we bought some to replace them, or we were going to replace them and never had a chance to before you moved out.
Okay, so do you remember that there are at least 5 of them were missing?
Possibly.
Okay. And do you recall the condition of the other blinds that were hanging there, if they were clean or not?
They all should have been clean because they came
Okay.
out of the box.
Those were not new blinds. Those were not new blinds hanging there?
The patio door was not, but the other ones were.
So you're saying that the patio slats with the 5, there were 5 missing, but the others were brand new. But you just said they all
No,
come in a packet. I guess I'm
just said
confused.
the mini blinds throughout the apartment were brand new. The slats were not.
Okay. So did you ever see from the outside of my unit that there was a rolled up blanket in my bedroom window because you could see into my bedroom?
No, I don't
Okay.
go and stare in people's bedroom windows or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay. And then also, let's see. So I did not receive a notice that you entered my apartment, and your claim then is that you did not enter my apartment without my notice.
What are you asking about?
Did you ever enter my apartment
You're
without
saying I entered
my
your
notice?
apartment without your permission. I don't do that, number one. Number two,
Okay.
it would be considered breaking and entering. Number
Mhm.
3, I don't play that game. As I said, I carry a body camera for a reason. So I don't enter apartments and unless I have permission from you or it's an emergency.
Okay. And there was some text that I received from your landlord or from your Mrs. Tweedle that you had an argument prior to that entry. She texted me some argument that you had argued, and then I came home, and when I went into my bathroom, I found some new plaster on the ceiling of my bathroom wall. Can you explain how that got there?
I haven't
And then there
plastered a
was
ceiling
plaster
in there.
on, say that again?
I didn't plaster a ceiling in there.
Okay, and there was also plaster on the floor.
I can't explain
Okay,
that.
okay. And may I ask you on that body cam, when did you purchase that body cam?
I have 2. I purchased one clear back in 2018, and this one was purchased less than 3 months ago to replace that one.
Okay.
due to just sheer weight.
Okay. If you excuse me just for a second, I want to look at my notes here. And so, and then did you say that you cleaned the entire apartment
Yes,
before
the
my
entire
injury?
apartment.
Sorry.
Yes, the entire apartment was cleaned.
Okay. And so then why was I was able to pull out a black ball of hair out of the tub drain. Was that tub cleaned?
You pulled it out of the drain. We don't clean the drains.
Okay.
So if you stuck something down the drain to pull out a black ball of hair that was in the drain, that was not something we clean normally.
Well, the reason I ask is because when I was putting water in there and then drained it, it was going so slow. So I reached in to see what was there, and it was right at the top. So that's why I'm asking that question. And then can you remind me, you said that I asked for another dishwasher?
I didn't say that. That would be Miss Tweedle that said that.
Okay, so did I ask for a new dishwasher?
I can't answer that. I don't know. If you asked
Okay.
for it, it would have been through them, not me.
Well, I do recall us looking at the dishwasher. I did not ask for a new dishwasher. My reason for bringing this up is because you did replace the dishwasher, and there's a difference between my version of new and your version of new. So that my point is that dishwasher that you put in that was new to the apartment does have rust on it. So my point is, as far as the carpet, I asked if it was new, and you said it was new, and then I asked you again to make sure, and you said it was 4 or 5 years old. Do you recall that?
No, I do not.
Well, how old was the carpet?
I don't know how old it was. I don't install carpet. That would be all
Okay.
done through Tweedles.
Okay. Okay. I think that is all the questions that I have, Your Honor. Thank you, Chris, for answering my questions.
Ms. Tweedle, do you have any follow-up questions for Mr. Henderson?
Not for Chris. I would like to call Mike Tweedle for just a very short period. I have one question I'd like him to testify to.
All right, Mr. Tweedle, I'll remind you, you are under oath. Go ahead, Ms. Tweedle.
Mike, you had a very close relationship with our last prior tenant from before Trina Nooser, correct?
That's correct.
And what was his name?
Danny Lundgren.
Okay. And what did he do for a living?
He was a school teacher and he coached the boys basketball team and he also coaches the girls golf team.
Okay. And you had a very close relationship with him and was over at his apartment to watch several games, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you do remember what the condition of the carpet was because you sat in the living room watching his TV many Sundays, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And what was the condition of that carpet prior to Trina Nooser's occupancy?
It was very nice. Danny, I just happened to be in town for that week that he was getting married and moving out. And otherwise he'd still be there. But he was getting married and he caught me in the parking lot in front of the apartments and said, "Hey, Mike, will you come in and look at my unit before I move totally out? I've got most of the stuff out of there. Would you come with me and go through a walkthrough?" So I said, "Sure, Dan, I'll come check it out with you." So I walked through the unit, looked around, everything looked great. The carpet, like I said, the carpet was immaculate. I walked around the bedrooms. I walked into the kitchen. There was an extra refrigerator. So I told him that I would get that out of there for him. And then we went into the living room. He was showing me some pictures. We were looking at the carpet. I said, wow, it looks really, really good. We did go into the bathroom, and maybe what Miss Nusser was referring to, maybe, not sure, is I know that the upstairs people sometimes walked when the young guys were there. They were pretty active up there, and I don't know if something was on the floor for her or what, but the carpeting, the unit was immaculate. And I thank Danny for his years of being with us, and congratulate him on getting married, and told him thank you for taking care of the apartment.
And did Danny have a dog?
No, Danny did not have a dog.
Partly because he probably didn't have any time for a dog. He was also a golf pro at the school. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, he was never there, because I used to tease him about why are you renting here? Why don't you go buy a house? He says, are you kidding me? He's like, I don't have time. I like just being able to come in here, throw clothes in my suitcase, and I leave. I'm busy with the girls till 11 o'clock at night at golf tournaments, and I'm busy the other times when the basketball's going with the boys. I'm never here. So that's why he was with us for that long.
Correct. Okay. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Ms. Nestor, do you have any questions for Mr. Tweedle?
No, I do not.
All right,
Thank
you. Ms. Tweedle, do you have any other witnesses, or do you wish to testify?
I don't have any other witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Ms. Nusser, do you wish to testify?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. If you could just kind of tell me your side of the story and what you're hoping the court might decide.
Well, some of the things I didn't even realize until I was moved in, and I didn't have a chance. This experience was completely different than my two other previous experiences. And that's why I did reach out to the other two to show that that I did have good faith behavior, that I do leave things clean. And I didn't even unpack my stuff hardly. I used the one bedroom for nothing, but I just left my boxes all together for storage. I didn't even unpack them because I just didn't feel clean in that environment. And then, and there were several things that I ran up on. I can read through them. Like I said, there was the kitchen ladder and dolly and box and bucket of dirty water that were there for an entire month by maintenance in the apartment that I was residing in. And there was even filth in the corner that was just swept over there and left there from the previous tenant, along with, I did see that second refrigerator, and I asked for the removal of that. The bedroom closet did smell of urine. And if you look in one of the photos that I provided, there is a big stain on the floor. And this represents most of the carpet in the apartment. I don't know what those stains are. I don't believe they're really animal stains. I think those are just, one's a light pink. I think those are from whatever the previous tenant had. And it's clear that the carpet was not cleaned before I moved in. Those basic things that happen with moving into apartments, there was no cleaning of the carpet. And it also had an opening, as you'll see too in the picture, for a dryer vent. And the only thing in there was like a rag. And there was wire on the floor and tools left on the floor. And I think this just shows kind of the incompetence of not keeping track of things, not being prepared for someone to move in by leaving tools lay around on the floor and wire and an open vent hole. And there's no way I would put my dog in that closet with the open vent hole to have her nose cut on, especially since I also provided a picture of her in her kennel. I've always had that kennel, and that is her safe place to be, to keep her. So there's no way I would put her anywhere else but the kennel. And I will state also, I kept both of the bedroom doors shut when I was out of the home. So my dog could not even go into those rooms. Let's see, let me skip down here. And I mentioned the dishwasher. And the only reason I brought that up is I just wanted to demonstrate the difference between how I see things as a tenant's point of view from the maintenance. And I don't believe maintenance was very competent in his work at all. And as far as the carpet, there is several discolorations. Those are not pee stains. I don't know what they are. I was not in there to make those stains, or nor my dog. So those were prior to moving in. I didn't even unpack and put my stuff in the cabinets because everything was just left in such a filthy matter. The blinds were all broken and very dirty. They were not new blinds at all. Neither was the slats on the patio window. There was 5 missing, and the others were so black. I knew when I would clean them, they would take Ajax. Part of it too, part of my frustration, Your Honor, was I was going to try to move into a different apartment. And in my attempts to do that, I discovered there were cockroaches. And so I went down to meet the tenant below me named Jeff to ask him if he had cockroaches. And he said no, but I saw right then he smoked. And that was a problem for me because it made the whole apartment upstairs smell like smoke. And Chris went up there to prepare the apartment, and he had left it open for several days. So that should have aired out, but it didn't. It still smelled like smoke. I even bought an air filter trying to remedy it, and I just couldn't remedy it. So that's why I just said, I'm fine where I'm at, because I knew my time would be limited because I was getting married. I also would like to note that the heater was broken in that Unit 10 apartment. And I asked Chris about it because I was going to be moving in. And he said to me, just let it run through. It just needs to run through. Well, the problem is it didn't just run through. He had to order parts to fix it. And so I think this is another demonstration of incompetence of the maintenance man, that he just blows it off and doesn't care. And so that's how I feel like, how would I don't think he's a good witness to say, oh, the carpet's in good shape, because it wasn't. He's not recognizing what needs to be done, including that heater that was broken.
Ms.
And so I decided
just a second,
I might as well just stay where I'm at.
Okay, just a second, Ms. Nusser. Ms. Tweedle, I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Nusser momentarily. Ms. Nusser, I don't mean in any way to cut you off. If you had other things you wanted to say, I'd like to hear them. And I would like to hear, I don't understand in your written pleading the cancellation fee paragraph. And if you want to explain that, I'd be interested to hear that.
Okay, I'm going to go to it. Here we are. I entered in as evidence a text from Tweedle Investments saying that she said, and as a courtesy, my attorney said, as soon as I receive the rest of the $2,062.50 and deposit it, we may release you from contract obligations. And then so I can move on and begin my new life. I have evidence to show that I paid that $2,062.50. My issue, and I also wrote on the receipt that she also had a copy of that says CXL fee, cancellation fee. And then, so I texted that, and then right after I received some emojis of acceptance to this receipt as the cancellation fee. My issue is later it was brought up about the $825. And I think this is what bothers me and makes me feel uncomfortable, is it doesn't matter how much I did, there was always more later that she wanted. I want $825. I want this. And then it was a continual, I felt harassed. When I get text at 4:30 in the morning, I feel like that's harassment and threatening me with, it bounced between emojis to lawyer threats, emojis, lawyer threats. And I just felt like this was really manipulative behavior, and it made me very uncomfortable. And then when I'm trying to move out of my apartment, I felt watched. And so because of the text I received saying I put my mattress by the trash can. So I went and got it and took it away. And then, so after I had completed my obligations, I deleted and blocked the text from the plaintiff because I just wanted to be away from her and done. And then I come back from my honeymoon and there's a text through her husband's phone asking for more money. And I just felt like it's never going to end. And if anything, I would say about today, I hope this ends. I just want to be done and move on with my life.
So, can you explain a little bit about you mentioned a couple of figures, the 2000, I think it was $61 and the $825 figures. Where do those fit into this from your perspective?
I also relinquish the deposit back because when you go into landlord tenant agreement, you pay a deposit. So that $825 there. This $2,062.50 is what she was wanting me to pay. I believe that was, I'd have to add it up to be honest. I believe that was the rent because you pay 2 months penalty. Like when you move out somewhere, you pay a 2 months penalty rent. Let me see what that is real quick. 4, 5, 16. That's $1,650. Okay, that's the $1,650 is the 2 months penalty. You pay when you move out early, and then the other $825 was my rent, or no, 4 something. That was the second part of my rent. So I was up to date on rent, and I paid the penalty fees.
And pay the termination.
But I was going by what she said in this text here.
Okay. So you actually wrote a check for $2,062 and change.
Yeah, I mean, I twice I put into $1,650 and then I put the $412.50 in.
Okay. All right. And then okay, I think that's all I need to know. Now, Miss Tweedle may have some questions for you, Miss Nusser.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I have 2 questions. The carpet was clean when you moved in, and I received a notification from that. I don't know how this was found out, but we noticed that there were 7, or actually, I do know how this was found out because you gave us permission to go and have your apartment looked at when we were going to look at apartment number 1 for somebody that wanted to go and look at it to rent it because you were going to take apartment 10. And when they went in there, they saw fresh dog poo-poo all over the carpet. This text that I sent you was on Friday, February 9th at 2:52 p.m. And the courts do have a copy of that, and it reads, Trina, we noticed there were 7 or 8 stains on the carpet and flooring from dog doo-doo. I hope you're planning to clean that up. And I said, the lady decided not to take the unit for your thank you for your kindness and showing it, and needs to be repaint the whole unit and ceiling fixed as well, I said. You said, I apologize, Tina. I changed food on my dog and I'm paying the price. I am purchasing a small spot cleaner for my car and plan to clean the carpet. Well, this problem continued, and the 7 or 8 stains turned into 20 stains. So your claim that your dog did not poop on all over the floor is rather misleading to the courts.
So did you have a question?
No, that's a statement. That's a statement.
Okay. I do have a question.
If you want it to be a question, I did text you this several times because you had probably already blocked me by that time, or maybe you hadn't. But you did text me back in my response on Friday, February 9th at 2:52 p.m. telling me you apologize for the dog stains, that you had changed the dog food, and that's the reason your dog had defecated on the floor, correct?
I did, yes.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask, because my dog I did say that she did use the restroom, and it was by the kitchen on the carpet there. That's the only spot. She did not continue to have problems once I adjusted her diet.
Okay, the carpet, you responded, and I have that text as well as the courts have. You specifically said spots, and spots has an S on it, plural. And if you were talking about defecating or going to the bathroom in the kitchen, I don't have a text saying that. And if they went in the kitchen, that is not carpeted.
I didn't say the kitchen. I said the carpet that's next to the kitchen. And it was like three spots. So it is plural, but 3 is different from all over the apartment.
When we went into that apartment, there are 20 spots, and we sent those photographs to the courts. I sent them to you on 3 occasions, but I believe you had blocked me the first 2 times, and then the last 2 times that we were advised by the courts to resend that all again, you do have that. And that is not how Danny left that apartment. He doesn't even own a dog.
I do have 2 questions.
Yes?
When I was possibly going to, well, ended up not, but when I was going to move into the apartment 10 and the people came through and decided they didn't want the apartment.
Correct.
Did they mention, there was a mention of the ceiling falling in the closet where the heater is? Did they mention that?
No, they did not.
Do you recall that?
No, they did not.
Okay, and do you recall that they also mentioned that there was spotted painting on the walls? That they were not happy with the paint job either?
Yes, they said that it needs painting. But may I remind you that this case is not about nitpicking on spotted walls. This case is solely for the sake of not wasting the court's time any further. This is solely for you not paying your termination fee of $825. And yes, you did pay your $1,650 plus your $412.50, which was 1/2 of your rent prior. You just did not pay your termination fee of $825, which was in your contract, which you should be used to. This you've terminated another contract before you came to us, so you know that you know how to read a contract. That is what I am claiming, and also the spots on the carpet. It's only these 2 things. It's not all the nitpicking on what my maintenance man did not clean up, what he did clean up, about a new dishwasher, the spots on the wall. This is not about how clean an apartment is, this is not about that. This is only for the fact of the matter you did not abide by the terms of the contract. This is $825 for your termination fee, and you left damages in the apartment, let alone leaving the apartment early and not doing 12 months. I'm not asking for the rest of your 12 months. I do have a heart. I wanted you.
May I respond to this, Your Honor?
Yes.
My response to that is the reason that I'm bringing up the issues with the apartment is because I'm trying to lay a foundation that the maintenance man did not maintain the apartment prior to my moving in. And if he doesn't notice all these items that are going on in the apartment was not being cleaned, not replacing blinds, not replacing slats in the window, the filth that was in there. This includes he did not pay attention to the carpet. And his idea of it being the age of the carpet, saying it's new, and then I have to ask, and he's like, oh no, it's 4 or 5 years old. Or he didn't even know how old it was. That's the problem too. We don't even know how old this carpet is. And those are not dog stains all around the carpet that she presents. Discoloration does not come from dogs.
You can clearly see on the photographs that is poop on the carpet. And those
I disagree.
Those are the same photographs that I had sent you in that text on February 9th.
And the court does have those documents. I guess at the end of the day, I'll have to make that decision.
Well, and then,
And my
Sorry.
husband just also testified, he would not go in Danny's apartment and seeing all those stains without not bringing that to Danny's attention. And Danny would never let him in the apartment if he had had all those stains. And how are those stains going to appear? Danny didn't even own a dog.
I do have a question. On most of those stains that you sent the photographs of, I believe most of them were along the wall. Is this correct?
No, they were in the middle of the floor, along the sides. And Chris, you can also testify to where those stains are. And Mike, you can also testify to where those stains were. You saw how it looked.
Well, I do have something I'd like to add. Because I do recall you saying one of them in the middle of the living room floor. That's where my mattress was. How can my dog poop on the middle of the floor if my mattress was sitting on that area? That's where I had put it and slept. So there's no way my dog could have used the bathroom. And then as far as the sides next to the wall, she's a girl. Dogs, she doesn't lift her leg. She's a girl. She's a female dog. She's not going to potty on the side of the wall. That's why I indicated what she did, and I own the part that she did is by the kitchen, on the carpet there, not next to the wall or in the middle.
When you walked in, there was an immediate stain right on the edge of the carpet as soon as you walked in the door. There was another stain right next to that. There were 3 more stains right next to that towards the kitchen. Then there was a very large spot right by the near the wall, not in the middle of the living room, as you went to the hallway. And there were spots throughout that carpet. Not so much in the middle, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but those were the major spots. And those all show in the pictures. And there were about 20 spots. So
and I believe this would have all been confirmed had we done a walkthrough. Had we done a prior walkthrough, I would have been able to document this.
And if those stains had all been there when you had walked in, you would have said something to me. Nowhere in any text or anything had you ever said, what am I going to do with all these poop stains? I'm not going to take this apartment. But no, that did not happen, Trina, because they were not there. That carpet had no stains on it.
Those stains were there. They're not poop stains.
Okay, well, I think we could probably go for a spell longer, and the two of you would probably never agree on that. I'll have to just take the evidence and give it the weight and credit I think is appropriate. Ms. Nusser, was there anything more from you, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Tweedle, do you want to make?
May I just read a statement in our contract?
Sure.
It's very short, and you've had somewhat of a hard time with a case before ours. I feel for you, but I would like to read this. And we have in our future leases, we have enhanced this so people can understand what we mean by this early termination. It's section 8 on page 3 of our lease, so people understand it. I'm going to read it to where I can emphasize so people understand.
Just give me a second to get on the same page with you.
Of course. And you've ran across this before in other cases, which I know that you understand, but just so I'm presenting this case, to my best knowledge.
Okay, I think I'm on the correct page.
Yeah, it says early termination of lease by tenant, and it said number 8. Should a tenant desire to terminate a lease, prior to the expiration of the term set forth above. Tenant may do so by giving the landlord 60 days writing in advance notice to this effect. And she did do that. And pay at the time of the said notice a termination fee in the amount equal to the security deposit, which she did not do, in addition to any rents or other charges due and owing. Now, she did pay the 2 months, which is $1,650. And at the time, she was still owing rent of $412.50, but she did not pay the $825 for the termination fee. And that's what I was trying to get across to her, but she had blocked me and probably had taken offense that I was trying to harass her, which is not true. I just wanted her to honor her contract, and this was all before or during the time that we had found out that there were also damages to the carpet, Your Honor. So I just want to thank you for your diligence in listening to our our case, and my prayer is for you to honor us the damages for the carpet, which comes to $4409.84, which does include the court costs and her unpaid cancellation fee of $825. And thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Nusser, anything by way of a closing statement?
I do, but it's lengthy, so I might just read part of it.
Well, I want you to feel that you can read whatever you'd like to read. I don't want you to feel any pressure to cut out things that you think are important.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. So I'll just go ahead and read it then. Thank you. The evidence clearly shows that the plaintiff, Tweedle Investments, has repeatedly failed to fulfill their basic obligations as landlord, leaving the defendant, Trina Nusser, living in unsafe and uninhabitable conditions. I have lived in 3 rentals, and my 2 earlier rental experiences were extremely different than his previous involvement with the plaintiff, Tweedle Investments. My encounter with Portofino Apartments and Janine Porter have both involved a written inventory of the premises and was signed by myself and the landlord. I then received a copy of this signed inventory. There was no question or confusion, nor any surprises that arose later about the condition of the rental unit with Portofino Apartments or Janine Porter. I was denied this opportunity by plaintiff Tweedle Investments to inventory and record the issues I found with the unit before possession, and find it unfair to be charged for damages that I did not do. The landlord and maintenance worker neglected their responsibility to provide a habitable space by not cleaning, vacuuming, or changing out the terribly stained, discolored, and uneven carpet that smelled bad. The blinds were broken, missing, and dirty. This was problematic, especially in the bedroom that did not allow for my privacy. To maintain some sense of privacy, I had to roll up a blanket and place it in the window so that no one would be able to see into my bedroom window. I only used the second bedroom as storage for my possessions and boxes, and did not touch the blinds there as they were before I moved into this unit. I also kept both bedroom doors shut when not in use. The condition of the kitchen was used as storage by maintenance worker Chris. There was a ladder, dolly, box, and dirty standing water in a mop bucket that smelled horrible in my living area for an entire month. Also stored in the kitchen were painting supplies, including large commercial paint buckets, paint brushes, and paint pans. There was dirt left in the corner of the kitchen from the previous tenant that was left unclean. Between the missing slats on the patio door and broken lock, I felt unsafe and exposed. It was evident after I had moved into this unit that it was very run down and in need of repair. I did not find maintenance worker Chris to be forthcoming, nor did I trust him after discovering he had entered my apartment without my permission or presented a given notice of entry. Chris entered my apartment and slapped spackle on the ceiling of the bathroom, leaving the mess on the floor for me to clean up, and spot painted the walls of the living room. This to me was a demonstration of Chris's lack of respect and privacy for the tenant. The entire apartment unit was filthy, which included the bathroom. While cleaning the tub, I pulled out a black ball of hair the size of a golf ball. There was dirt all over the floor, and it was evident the bathroom was not cleaned from my transition to the last tenant. This left me feeling extremely gross and uncomfortable. Since the bedroom closet contained an opening to the outside and smelled bad, I kept the door closed. It is entirely false that I kept my dog in the closet. I own a kennel for my dog that was kept in the bedroom. The kennel is a safe environment for my pet, and I would not risk putting her in the closet with an opening that contained a sharp aluminum dryer vent where she could cut herself on. It shows in the picture that I provided the carelessness of tools and cord left by maintenance. There is also a visible large dark stain, which is evidence that the carpet was stained and damaged before I moved in. I chose not to unpack most of my belongings because of how filthy and gross the apartment was. The plaintiff, Tweedle Investments, is claiming that I, the defendant, owe $825 for a cancellation fee. I have shown evidence via text that I paid the $2,062.50 that the plaintiff stated. As soon as I receive the rest of the $2,062.50 and deposit it, we may release you from contract obligations. Please note that I wrote cancellation fee on the receipt and that the plaintiff in which I received an acceptance acknowledgement of payment. There was no mention of more money until later. There were several reasons why I did not trust the plaintiff, Tweedle Investments. The continual use of manipulative language was unprofessional, as I had previously addressed by my legal name with Portofino Apartments and Janine Porter. I was not comfortable with the use of honeypot or darling. This demonstration of a lack of boundaries between landlord and tenant. Another encounter that was different was the number of texts that I received from plaintiff Tweedle Investments, some at 4:30 a.m. Again, another boundary issue. I was continually being texted information that was not necessary to a tenant, and I did not experience this method of influence with my prior two landlords. I felt very uncomfortable moving out of the apartment when I received during the transition a text indicating I was being watched. I felt fearful, and as soon as I sent a picture of the location of the key to maintenance worker Chris, I deleted and blocked the plaintiff Tweedle Investments. For my safety, I distanced myself since I fulfilled my obligations. My dog had an accident on the carpet by the kitchen due to a change in diet that I owed to the plaintiff and had cleaned up as I said I would. I believe it is unfair for the plaintiff Tweedle Investments to try and take advantage of me or to use one accident to update her entire property when the issues previously listed were evident before my occupancy. Again, I believe that the plaintiff Tweedle Investments has failed to prove these damages were made by myself as the defendant, and I ask your honor that you would rule in favor of my defense. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both. I know it's a late hour and I feel particularly bad for my colleagues having had to wait for me. However, I need about 5 minutes or so to review the written submissions in the case, and Ms. Tweedle, are you back? Okay. I have had a chance to consider the evidence and to look over the documents in the case, and I understand that there's been a lot of history that has played out, and I certainly understand how passions might run pretty high. I understand that from Ms. Nusser's perspective, she's been a good tenant and has been a careful and neat person, and it is in some respects I'm sure difficult to work through some of the allegations here, and also to consider it in the context of any prospective additional payments that might be ordered in the case. And I know from the Tweedle's perspective, they're trying to provide a good experience for their tenants and make those efforts. And when any sort of aspersion might be cast or any sort of allegation may be made concerning motives, I understand that that's a challenging place to be as well. And I do think that in a big picture sort of a way, I do think all of the parties have comported themselves well in the context of maintaining a degree of civility, even when passions were reasonably pretty high from both perspectives. In going over the paperwork, it's the court's conclusion that although the cancellation component of the contract was maybe a little bit difficult to understand, and so much so that there have been some changes to that for newer contracts. I think it's also pretty clear that the 1 month's rent, or I guess in this case, an $825 same amount security deposit would be required for early termination. And even though I think that there is some range within which Ms. Nusser might have thought that the other components of the cancellation, the paying for the 60 days of rent, might have fulfilled her obligation there. It's my understanding that she was actually still living in and benefiting from the context of the lease during those days. And so I am going to find that the $825 cancellation fee has been requested. I will find for the Tweedles on that particular count. I will make Ms. Nusser responsible for the costs and the cost of service in the case. The carpet poses probably the most challenging aspect for a couple of reasons. One, Ms. Nusser's photographs do show that there are some stains, at least in the bedroom, that were present when she moved in. I mean, they're pretty meaningful stains in terms of size. It's also made a little bit complicated, although not completely so, by virtue of the fact that the allegation concerning the number of spots was first indicated by Ms. Tweedle to have been, I think, 7 or 8, and then subsequently into the low 20s in terms of the number of spots. I think that for her part, Ms. Nusser also, I think in her words, owned that reality that it was indeed the case that, to some degree at least, her dog had had an accident and had impacted the carpet as a consequence. I think, given the testimony that Ms. Nusser had kept the bedroom doors closed, one, because it was simply a place for storage, and secondly, to just keep her dog from going into the bedrooms, I'm inclined to disregard the request for replacement of carpeting in the bedrooms. And then with respect to the replacement of carpet in the living room, that's a little bit difficult in as much as the carpeting was, I think, 4 or 5 years old was the testimony. And I don't know what the amortization schedule on carpeting would look like. But clearly there's going to be some wear and tear. And if new carpet is added, that would benefit the landlord prospectively. And I'm just completely guessing at this number. Again, I don't have a amortization schedule, but I feel comfortable essentially thinking that carpet perhaps could last 8 to 10 years. And I'm thinking, 4 or 5 years is approximately half of that lifespan. And so I'm going to reduce the prayer of $624.96 by 50%, $312.48 if my math is correct. And then with respect to the cleanup of the apartment, I don't think the requested $384 is unreasonable. I will make Ms. Nusser responsible for that. Mr. Henderson had testified that he does not lay carpet, and I'm assuming this labor for the repair, since we're talking about in this invoice carpet and mini blind. I'm assuming that must be a typo or some sort of mistake. So I will deduct that from the total. So working backward, the mini blinds are being disallowed. $312.48 for the replacement part for the carpet, $384 for the cleanup, $825 for the cancellation fee, $120 and $15 for the associated court costs. And those will be the orders of the court. And Ms. Tweedle, if you could please prepare as the plaintiff a journal entry along those lines, I would appreciate it.
Okay, Your Honor, I'm a little confused. The labor and repairs, if you want to reduce the cost of the carpet for the bedrooms, that would be fine with me. There weren't that many stains in the bedrooms, but the majority of the stains were in the living room. This $1,430 is for the cost of the carpet, and Chris doesn't physically lay the carpet himself. He has his carpet guy who he contracts for lay the carpet is what he meant. He does not physically lay the carpet himself. He has a bad back. So he has to pay his carpet layer to replace the carpet, and that's what we pay, the $1,430. But I would be more than happy to reduce. The bedrooms weren't as bad. I can eat that, but the living room was horrific.
Well,
So,
that's why I'm giving you essentially the whole value of that replacement cost. I'm just making an allowance for the age of the carpet, but I'm not seeing anything in here about a subcontractor.
okay, I guess I'm confused. What is I understand the 825 is non-negotiable. What is the total amount for the rest of the stuff collectively?
Well, I listed the things individually. So $825 for the cancellation fee,
Okay,
$120 for court costs, $15 for service, $384 for cleaning, and $312.48 for the cost of the carpet.
okay. I'll
Okay.
add that up and get a total. If you don't have that, I'll add that up and put that in a journal entry for
All
you.
right. Well, I do appreciate it. Thank you.